and welcome to my Draw With Me video. My name is Anastasia. I go by Anastasia_uncanny on most of my social media. I really enjoy drawing and screen printing on shirts, and I wanted to take you through my drawing process, and maybe you can draw with me if you'd like, and we can hang out together. In the beginning, I will take my sketchbook and I'll thumbnail different compositions, and after I decide on a composition that I like, I will use washable Crayola markers to lay out the image onto a shirt. For this stage, I try to be as detailed as possible, so I have a guide on how I will use my fabric paint and fabric markers, and I like to use Arteza fabric paint and markers. That's been working well for me so far. This specific shirt design is part of a collection I made called Evolution. It is inspired by the animated show Primal on HBO. There is a specific episode on the show where the main character, caveman guy, I forgot what his name was, he encountered these witches and they were doing like this strange magical ritual, and they had the power to like pause time. I just thought that was really interesting because it made me think what kind of things did these Neanderthal people experience? Like did they have supernatural, unexplained experiences the way present day humans do, and how did that affect them? What was their relationship with nature and psychedelics and things like that? I wanted to explore the beginning of man and what it could have been like to be human before the creation of society and social norms, and before there was scientific explanations for everything. I've noticed that in a lot of my drawings I like to include cellular-like structures. I included it because I wanted to explore the idea of different beings in the universe being connected genetically, and I also like the idea of taking these minuscule cells and molecules that are inside of us and upping the scale of them and making them into their own environments. Some things that I was thinking about while making this is kind of playing with the idea of aliens and dinosaurs and humans being connected genetically. And I was also thinking about the idea of like aliens being different iterations of humans and what it will be like to be a human like millions of years from now. Right now I'm reading a book called Kindred Neanderthal Life, Love, Death, and Art by Rebecca Ragg Sykes. I just started the book, so I'm only on like chapter 3, but on the chapter I'm on, they're talking about how in the early 1900s, these archaeologists discovered these baby Neanderthal fossils, and they are going through them and finding similarities between baby Neanderthals and present-day human babies, and they're making comparisons between the developmental stages. I just think that's interesting. I think I'll take what I am actually learning in this book and apply it to future pieces, but while I was making this piece, I don't know, sometimes I'll make art and I won't really know what it means while I'm making it, or I won't have a specific concept in mind. Sometimes I just like to mesh different images together and figure out what it means later on. But for this one, I went in with a specific theme and just exploring different thoughts I had. Sometimes I like to go into an art piece and not do a lot of research on the subject matter that I am exploring, because to me it's interesting to create your own lore behind a piece and to ask yourself these existential questions and then answer them through the art and through wherever your subconscious mind takes you. Couple of other existential questions I had while making this piece and reviewing it after I finished it are: what will it mean to be human millions of years from now, and what will future humans think of us? Will they view us as barbaric, or will we be even more barbaric than we are now millions of years from now? And what kind of similarities and differences will there be between us genetically and how we develop? Or will humans never really advance? Will we be eventually, wiped out by the consequences of our actions and climate change and things, and start this whole new cycle of being, you know, Neanderthal-like and then developing into a quote-unquote more advanced human. I find that when I'm making art or reflecting back on pieces that I've made, it really gets me into a really like introspective mindset, and I'll get different ideas for future pieces once I'm in this flow state of creating. And I'll look at what I made, and I talked earlier about sometimes I use art as a way to answer existential questions that I have, but sometimes they pose more questions for me to explore in future pieces. Before I go in with my fabric markers, I'll do a rough painting with fabric paint. I'll lay down the foundation of the figure. I'll do more so flat colors and a minimal amount of shading, and then I like to use the fabric markers to add detail and refine the image. One thing I like to do is I'll hold on to my fabric markers for a while, even though they get a little bit dried up. I'll use the ones that are getting a bit dried to do shading so I can build up the value and do like a gradient. I like building the layers of colors so that the figures are really opaque and so the image is really clear. You could water down the fabric paint if you don't want it to be as dense, but I find that that makes the washable marker bleed, which kind of messes up my sketch, which is fine because once whoever buys the piece washes it, the washable marker and the sketch will come out, but I like having the sketch there while I'm actually working on the piece. But I think drawing on clothes or using fabric markers on clothes is a nice way to add a personal touch to a shirt. Thank you for watching my video, and if you were drawing with me while watching it, comment below what you were drawing and what ideas you're exploring through art. I'm new to YouTube, so I don't really have a set posting schedule, and I really don't know what I'm doing, but I'll see you in my next video, and I hope you have a wonderful day or night.